Welcome back. Let's kickstart trading hour with a corporate conversation now. Route Mobile reported their numbers 2 weeks ago. Very strong Q3, revenue growth of 75% on a year-on-year basis. Margins too expanded by 180 basis points. Though in the conference call, the company said that Q4 could be a bit muted. Rajdeep Kumar Gupta, the MD and Group CEO of Route Mobile, now joins in to take some questions about the way forward. Mr. Gupta, morning. Rima here. Could you talk about Q4 and your expectations? In the conference call, you said Q4 will be a little muted. What is it that you expect? We understand one aspect is Q3 is historically strong due to the seasonality effect, the festive season, etc. But other than that, are you facing any slowdown, any headwinds?
Good morning, Rima. I think we're not facing any slowdown. That's a kind of business we are into. Q3 is always the best quarter for us. And I think that's a trend we have seen from last so many years. But I think that based on the current revenue run rate, I think we believe that we might be at the same level, maybe a little lesser. But I think the month of January was brilliant for us. And if February goes well, so I can't say it is going to be muted, but maybe the same kind of revenue what we did in last quarter.
Q4 revenues will be flat quarter on quarter and volumes could also be about 27.7 billion as you did in Q3?
It could be because see, there is another opportunity we have seen, like we onboarded few banks in last quarter and this quarter also we are onboarding one large bank. If those volumes started coming in this quarter, we might see the growth in the volume. But right now, since banking integration takes time and we are not very sure whether it's going to start from this quarter or maybe from next quarter, if all goes well, so there will be a growth in the volume as well.
Mr. Gupta, can you break up your projections for the coming quarter between India and your overseas business? Where is it that you are expecting maybe, a little bit of softness or slackness?
So I think our overall revenue model, if you see, like 55% revenue comes from international and 45% comes from India. LATAM is a very big market for us since we have deployed some of the salespeople in various markets in LATAM, along with European countries and Africa. So I think we see a growth going to come from Latin America and Asia and Middle East as well. Recently, we acquired a CITIC license in Saudi Arabia, which means that we are now fully operational in Saudi Arabia, where we started onboarding customers in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and UAE as well. So I think our volume and revenue mix is going to be largely from international. As I said, 55% going to come from international market and 45% from India. And that is a trend going to be maintained.
All right, 55 from the international markets. Mr. Gupta, thanks for joining us. This is Pavitra. Also a large part of your revenue came through because you have taken on some acquisitions as well. For now, if I look at just the organic growth for FY23, it's at around 35%. Can you tell us what the full year will look like? Are you looking at some more acquisitions which would aid the top line?
Pavitra, good morning. Definitely not. Like we acquired 3-4 companies in last few quarters, and I think our aim is to just make sure we start integrating these companies and try to create upsell and cross-sell opportunity within the company. And I think our focus is very clear now. We really need to build a product in-house, and we already built a product which we are launching in Barcelona, and it's a product on digital fraud. It is going to mitigate the risk of digital fraud in fintech industry, and that is one of the unique products we build in-house. And I think apart from that, we're also working on a voice side of a business, which we are trying to build in-house. But right now, we don't have any acquisition plan, honestly, for next few quarters.
Okay, so the focus is on organic growth. Your average realization per billable transaction is now 36 paise. What are the drivers for your realization to improve, or can you just talk about how it should pan out from here on?
So we are working with operators globally very closely. We won large contract in Sri Lanka. We have already onboarded Telenor as a group. So if you talk about international market, there are various markets where SMS been charged as more than 13 to 14 cent as compared to India 10 paisa. So we are completely focused on those markets where the cost per SMS is higher. And I think that is a market where we have a very strong relation with operator. And with current like project in pipeline, we believe that this kind of contract is going to definitely work in our favor. And one need to also understand that Route Mobile, like if I send 1 million SMS in Bangladesh, is 13 cent, which is equivalent to maybe 50 million in India. So I think our revenue mix is based on the geographies and countries also.
Mr. Gupta, take that point. Obviously, you will chase markets where the tariffs are higher, specifically SMS charges are higher. But I believe you've also indicated that there is some discounting happening with larger customers where you do big volumes. Is that correct? And if it is, then what's the extent of discounting?
Not at all. I think if you see our firewall solution, like we have a company called 365. We acquired this company in 2017. We deploy our firewall with operator. We work very closely with operator where we actually try to monetize revenue for them. And in spite of once the firewall is placed, we in fact increase the SMS charges. Like there's no question of giving discount because I think Route Mobile works on a quality and the kind of platform which we have built in last 17, 18 years has a huge potential, and most of the customer using our platform is not just for one country, for multiple countries. And I think like classic example, all the OTT players, they connect Route Mobile for more than 30, 40 countries, each time.
All right, Mr. Gupta, we got that. Thank you very much for joining us today and taking us through the outlook. That is Route Mobile's strong set of Q3 earnings, like we pointed out, because of a lot of the acquisitions they undertook. But also, if you look at the organic revenue growth rate, that's also quite good at around 35%. The stock, however, has not really done much, right? I mean, Reema, I think for the year, it's down around 30%.
Absolutely, but this is one of the stocks which have run up so much, right? It's a big play on India's digitization. But Route Mobile's financials have been very strong. Every quarter, they've been upping their guidance. At the beginning of the year, they'd spoken about a 50% revenue growth. Then in Q2, they said we'll at least do 60% growth. And now they're confident that growth this year will be more than 70%. The stock has underperformed in the last 1 year just because it outperformed in the year prior to that.
All right, so that is Route Mobile. We are going to get into a short break now, but when we come back, we'll talk